Welcome to Smart Architectural Programming. Mastering File Deletion in Python.
So always use try and except blocks because they'll make sure that if your program keeps on running, regardless of if a certain block of code works or not, right? If certain file is there or not in this case, or certain information, a certain API is giving you access or not. So in this case, supposedly if the file was not there, the program would crash. But now because we have a try and except block, it would try, again, understand the word, it's going to try running this block of code by removing, on line 7, we use the OS remove method from the OS library, which basically deletes the file in question, and then we print that the file was deleted successfully on line 8. So supposedly, if it does not if the file path is not correct, and when you're new to dealing with file paths, you'll find that in most cases you'll be having the wrong file path. You'll have problems with that. The program would not crash. It would raise a file not found error. It was raise a file not found error, and print file was not found. At the same time, if it is for any other reason, right? Exception means for any other reason not said, it suddenly realized it wasn't able to delete the file. It would raise an exception error and say error deleting the file in question, right? But if these blocks were not there, it's going to crash and your entire program would stop running, right? So it's better use try and except blocks, because if the try block doesn't work, it would use the except. It would just raise this error to let us know this thing didn't work out and why didn't work out, and just keep on running the program below it. Now that's one way you can remove a file in Python using the os.remove method. Just put in the file path within that and you delete the program. But another way you can delete a file external to your coding environment is the os.unlink method. And there's no difference between these two methods. Unlink methods does the exact same thing as the os remove method. It's just that generally having these two different methods in mind is something you might want to consider, right? And that's why I've just presented it out here. Again, the piece of code is exactly the same as the first one that we went over. Line 1, import OS. Line 3, create the file path variable. Line 5, try block. And the only difference in this try block is that instead of os.remove, we've used os.unlink method. And the file path goes in between. If the file is deleted, we'll say it's deleted successfully. If not, file not found error. And we'll raise and on line 11 we can raise an exception error if nothing, even if the file is found, the deletion was not successful. Now that that's out of the way, now that we understand, we can use both the os.remove and the os.unlink methods to remove a file external to our environment using try and except blocks. Again, remember, try and except blocks are very, very important dealing with information sources that you want to access or act upon external to your coding environment. Before we basically wrap this video up, you've noticed that in the last two documents we used file not we add an exception error except block for file not found error. Now that is one way to do it. But I think even a more better way to do it, right, is to just test if the file exists or not, because exception errors are they are not that good in a sense that you might want to see them as a programmer. But if you could find a way to deal with them in a way that does not affect the programming of the file, it's better to deal them in that method. So we use a method within the OS library called os.path.exists method. So again, we import OS library here. Then on line 3, we save the file path as a variable in a variable as a string. And on line 5, you'll notice we use an if and else statement instead of using the try and except blocks. The reason is, if you look at line 5, we have the os.path.exist method here, What it does is when we give it the file path as we have, it tests if that file actually exists at that path or not. If it exists, then it moves down to the block of code. Else, it tells the file does not exist. And if the file exists, it would go down and run the try and accept blocks, which are exactly similar to the try and accept blocks on the file one using the os.remove method. Else, it would just print the file does not exist. And basically, uh, this is the ideal way to delete a file in Python, to test out, to make sure that a file path exists or not. Basically, a file exists or not before deleting that file. And with that, we'll wrap up our video on how to delete a file using Python. George, do you want to add anything at the end?
No, I think you covered everything. Anything that you guys would like us to create videos on, please comment in the comment section. Thanks.